Joining us now, running for Congress for a third term, Republican in the 7th District of Virginia, one of the hottest races in America, Congressman Dave Brat. He'll be opposed by Democrat Abigail Spanberger. That'll be decided now in just 14 days. Dave Brat, great to have you with us, man.
Hey, great to be on, John. Thanks.
All right, Dave, understand that you're getting a lot of enthusiasm now. You had a big rally the other day. A lot of people turned out. So things starting to come together for your campaign. People are telling me that your polling numbers that they have show you slightly ahead, which is good news, but very, very close, Dave. Let's get to the Caravan at the border. Now, we understand, has grown to 7,000. Some people like me see this as an invasion in the United States. Others say, well, it's just economic refugees that need help. But, Dave, there's 7,000 of these, Congressman. What should be done?
Yeah, well, and this fits in. My opponent has $5 million to spend, but actually we've had a lead, and the lead is growing. And then after Kavanaugh, the lead took another bump in the upward direction. And now, with this Caravan, everybody finally gets to see, right when the election comes into play, one of the biggest issues that separates Republicans from Democrats comes into play. And these folks coming up have commandeered highways going through Mexico with no respect for the law. And when they get here, do you think that will change? And so my opponent has no upper bound on immigration, right? She's open border. She says, I'll secure the border and thinks it sounds good. By the same time, she says she'll welcome everybody in. She's made it very clear she's in favor of sanctuary cities for the criminals and the gang members that are coming up. And there's already numbers coming up on that, and I'll get those out on my Facebook. But instead of deporting the criminals and drug dealers, she wants to provide them a sanctuary in Virginia, along with our governor, who's already moved the Virginia General Assembly in law in that direction. And then it's just the biggest contrast you can have, right? Do you want to keep wage rates up for Americans or hurt the American worker and have to pay for everything else, right? That if one family comes in with two kids, that's $26,000 a year for school. And once they cross right into our border, you know how it works, right? They go off to somewhere else in the country, like Virginia, with holding grounds, and then they never show up for the court date, and they are here until we get a policy. And the number on the illegals has jumped. A Harvard study a month or two ago from 12 million illegals to 22 million here, and those are estimates. But it basically has to do with the rule of law. And in sanctuary cities, as bad as the outcome sounds, what my opponent is saying, Abigail Spanberger, is we'll handle it at the local level, which sounds interesting, right? It sounds like a Republican policy, except for the fact what she's really saying is ignore federal law, and not ignore it, but work against federal law. The Constitution on immigration gives the feds the latitude. The ICE agents have the latitude. So when a Democrat says we can do it just at the local level, that's a clever way to do it, to cloak it. But what she's saying is we're going to ignore the law of the land. And so thousands of people coming up, ignore the law of the land, and you're going to be stuck in Virginia living next to folks. You don't know who they are. We haven't vetted them. And so I encourage everybody to get out and vote, and get every conservative and business person and social group to get out and vote.
Congressman, for every illegal border crosser, and they are breaking the law. We are a nation of laws. This being flaunted, obviously. They're thumbing their nose at it. They have no respect for the law of the land. So for every illegal immigrant that comes in and manages to evade authorities or is caught and then released into the system, which basically is the same thing because, as you say, only, 15% actually show up for their hearing. The other 85% are just gone, never to be heard from again.
Right.
What's the cost per each person?
Well, it's I mean, as I just said, I don't even have to go on, right? I mean, just two kids in school is $26,000 a year. And so the folks coming in, and most of them are good Catholic fine people, etc. But that's not the issue. It's run it by the taxpayer and see what kind of policy you want to have. And this is a 75-80% issue. And so the folks coming in will have about a 10th grade education. That's the stats. They won't pay any federal income tax. They'll probably get money from the federal government to them, right? Earned income tax credits. They won't pay state income tax. So that $26,000 for education is coming straight out of the taxpayer's pocket, plus free emergency room, other welfare items that they're entitled to once they're here, and other constitutional protections once they're here. And so there's a huge cost. The taxpayers will pay it, and the Democrats have, the spending is no object for them. They just want to get votes and voters. So my opponent promised a $32 trillion health care plan as well, where everybody gets covered, right? You got a government coverage. Guess what? Everybody will be able to go in, legal, illegal, with Democrats running it. And you've just seen the beginning of it, right? So that in order to pay for that single-payer health care for Abigail Spanberger, that you'll have to double everyone's tax rates and double the corporate rate. And that's not me. That's George Mason Economics, Richmond Times-Dispatch, quote after quote after quote. And so I urge people, go look it up. This is not a normal election. This is Maxine Waters will be the next chairwoman of the Financial Services Committee. That's what this election is about, right? We've provided results, $2,500 back in people's pockets. They want to take the $2,500 back from you, send it to D.C., and raise your tax. And so there's a lot on the line. I hope people are paying attention.
Congressman, let me ask you this. In your debate with Abigail Spanberger 10 days ago, she said last week, she was very concerned about the debt, that the Trump tax cut added to the debt. She said the debt is so big now it's a national security issue, but yet you're saying that the open borders process is simply going to continue to add to that. So how do you respond to Spanberger saying that you're part of the problem in the growing debt financial debacle going on in the United States? How do you respond to that?
Go watch the debate, right? I handled that in the closing, the last remarks. I say this, that's so rich and ironic, it's hard to take. It's like the mainstream media discovering the deficit as soon as we did tax cuts. Obama doubled the debt from 10 to $20 trillion, right? Obama, the Democrats. They're the spenders. Our tax cuts, if you grow 3.5% to 4%, they're paid for. And we're growing right now at 4.2. So we keep that going, keep deregulating, get the paperwork out of the way of folks who want to start businesses out there. And she gave an answer on business startups, and her answer to how do you help people start businesses was more government programs for 2 minutes. She never mentioned business once. And so there's just a total divide, right, on the debt. We did $150 billion in tax cuts, paid for, to get 9 Senate Democrats in the same budget. We had to plus up the budget $400 billion, not paid for. And she did not have a response to that because there is not one. The Democrats do all the spending. Republicans plussed up the military for our national defense, and that's it. All the rest of those bills within the bounds. But the Democrats plus up every single program, every item, because it's pay to play up in D.C., and everybody knows it, right? If you say yes to everyone up there, they send you checks. And that's why Abigail Spanberger is getting $2.2 million from the Soros-linked Resist movement, Act Blue. That's her biggest donor bundler. Far, hard left, and the elections, they're trying to just buy a seat in the U.S. Congress with someone who's never run for office before. And she's raised, I think, over $5 million already. It's just money falling down to buy the seat. And she doesn't have a policy platform. She's just keeping it very neutral, and is not promising the people anything that she's going to do that I know of. She came out with health care, and now she's flipped on that because everybody saw it was a terrible idea. And so, but that's the Democrats nationwide. There was a great Politico piece a couple days ago. It's still up if people want to go see it, on the 9 points of the Democrat Nancy Pelosi liberal agenda. And it's not a policy agenda. I urge everybody go take a look at it.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with incumbent Republican Congressman Dave Brat from the 7th Congressional District. That's Central Virginia. He's in a tight battle for re-election to a third term against a very well-funded Democratic challenger, Abigail Spanberger. This will be decided along with all the other midterms in 14 days on November 6th. Early voting is already underway in Virginia. Congressman, let's get back to the Caravan and 7,000 people.
Yeah.
Is it not unreasonable for average people to see this and think, okay, if these 7,000 people are allowed to come in and break our laws and just come into the United States, what would stop the next Caravan from being 70,000 people or the one after that from being 700,000 people? I mean, what would be the deterrent if they're simply allowed to gain a mob status and just overrun the authorities and come in, as you've seen them do in Mexico? What would stop the second Caravan from being 70,000 instead of 7,000?
Nothing. That's exactly the point, right? That's why we need E-Verify to end the green light, right? Once you have an amnesty or a promised amnesty, the whole world wants to come to the richest country on the face of the earth with a rich benefits package, right? And so once you let down your guard, and just picture President Obama in charge right now with Pelosi in charge and Abigail Spanberger in charge, and what would they do? And you know what the answer is. It'll be total chaos, folks flooding in. Then that sends a signal to the whole world, hey, they got in, right? They got in. It's a green light. Let's go, right? And so thank goodness the president sent up some strong signals. The Congress is going to send up some strong signals. We had the Goodlatte bill that dealt with the DACA kids. I had a bill with Senator Cruz to deal with the uniting the parents and the kids at the border. We all compromised on that. Democrats said no to every reasonable compromise because they want open borders, cheap labor, sovereign, sanctuary cities. And just look at Nancy Pelosi, right? Look at San Francisco. They got it. They got sanctuary cities. The city is in decay right now. Go Google San Francisco. Everybody look at it. And that's what they want to bring to Richmond. And it's already starting to happen in policy already, not just ideas, but in policy.
Well, San Francisco has the seventh largest population in the United States and the third largest homeless population, and that is growing, and pretty soon it's going to be rivaling Los Angeles. As we know, the estimates are about 25,000 people a night are homeless in Los Angeles, sleeping under bridges and drain pipes. That's a lot of people, and San Francisco rivaling that. Congressman, I want to get to what exactly to do. I mean, I've asked this question a number of times, so I'm going to pose it to you also. This Caravan is coming. They've crossed Mexico. It is coming. The president says, I'm going to stop it. I might send the military there. We've already gone through the zero tolerance policy. That was a public relations disaster. So there's not time to enact anything in 8 days. It isn't going to happen. You guys aren't even in session. So what should the president do? How does he stop it? Like, what exactly, when he says, I'm going to send the military there and close the border, what does that mean?
Well, you can beef up the defenses and send everything, to where the 7,000 folk Caravan are coming through. But more importantly, we have a lot of leverage over Mexico, right? And that's where it's got to be done. The president of Mexico has already sent hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement to weaken and pick off some of the folks and send them back home already. And I think that's the primary move. That's what happened last time. And we thwarted the huge number problem. And so it's just both. We got to send our own resources to send a strong signal that our border is secure. And obviously, you need to build a wall and put up security measures to keep this threat from happening. And people say walls don't work and all that kind of thing. Can you imagine the difference if you had a wall there versus what we have today? And the fact that the left is so hardened against it is almost the evidence itself that they know it will be effective, right? If they thought a wall wouldn't be effective, they'd just fund it and say, good, just go ahead and do it. But they know that would be effective, and they don't want it. So we need all the above. We have good law enforcement on the books, and we just need to enforce it. And so that's the play call.
Congressman, I'm going to read you a text from Eric in Richmond, who's in your district. He says, I'm in the 7th district. If I were to go to the ER and not pay, I'd be chased to the ends of the earth and threatened with every type of legal action imaginable, and then they would garnish my wages. This double standard is just crazy. I mean, isn't this one of the issues for average people struggling to pay their bills?
Yeah, no, that's right. He'll get chased because he's a citizen. He's got records on the books with the feds, and he's got an income stream. That is, the feds have, the IRS have all his personal information in terms of income, what he's made, and that's the whole point. That's the total unfairness of citizens versus non-citizens. And
right.
The citizens are on the hook for everything that the non-citizens do illegally. And I think the American, it's 80% issue, right? I mean, so it's the number one polling Republican issue right now. And after the Kavanaugh debacle, the left has shown that the tactics they're using them in my district, right? The left is threatening businesses, one after the other, ripping down signs, stealing private property, and, leaving terrible notes on my own door stoop. That was widely reported. And so the American people see the choice, right? The economy's growing. We got strong America First policies and foreign policy at the border. And the alternative is unthinkable to me. It's just simply unthinkable. And we do have people coming our way now, right? The Republicans are all coming home. Independents are breaking our way after the Kavanaugh story. And so in the end, I think the Virginia people are going to do the right thing.
Congressman, I have a minute. Dave, I have a minute. The Khashoggi affair, we're going to get more information. The Turkish government is saying the next several weeks. If MBS was involved in this, do you favor some sort of sanctions or congressional actions in response to allegedly what it appears that the Saudis did within their own consulate?
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot ever send a signal to another world leader, even if they're an ally in other respects, that it's all right to take the life of another human being. And so there's going to have to be stiff sanctions. I think the White House is going to get there on a more than just narrow targeted basis. I think they're going to be significant, and the Congress will for sure come in and back that up. We have to, right? So you can have an ally, but when the ally crosses a line like that, you got to send a firm signal.
All right, we're in total agreement with that. Congressman Dave Brat, thanks for being with us. Hey, for more information or to get involved in the campaign, here's all you have to do. Go to davebrat.com. davebrat.com. It's got the easiest website imaginable. davebrat.com. You can volunteer. You can get involved. You can send a check. You can donate online. You can do whatever you want. You can knock on doors. But it starts, go to davebrat.com. davebrat.com. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks a lot, John. Have a great day.